The earth goes around the sun and the moon goes around the earth. The moon is our only natural satellite. It is the nearest neighbor to our earth. Astronauts are trying to find more about the moon. Neil Armstrong was the first human to step on the moon. We have heard some mythological stories which includes the moon. Lord Shiva gained the names Chandrasekhara and Somanatha by giving shelter to the moon or Chandra in his locks. You have all heard the story where Lord Ganesha curses the moon. There's also a story where Sri Rama wanted to play with the moon he saw in the sky when he was a little boy, eventually gaining the name Sri Ramachandra. Small children are often told stories showing the moon while they are being fed. There's a dance move called the moonwalk, made famous by the very famous dancer Michael Jackson. So much so that the poets couldn't stop taking the moon as an object for their poems. Today, we are going to discuss one such poem where the poet Robert Louis Stevenson talks about the moon. Let us read the poem first and then understand what is the poet trying to say. The moon has a face like the clock in the hall. She shines on thieves on the garden wall, on streets and fields and harbour quays, and birdies asleep in the forks of the trees. Harbour quays are long platforms beside the sea or a river where boats can be tied up and loaded or unloaded. Remember, it is pronounced as keys. The moon has a face like the clock in the hall. The poet compares the face of the full moon to the face of a round clock. A clock indicates time. Similarly, the moon signifies a specific or a particular time, that is, the time of the night. It might have occurred to the poet that the moon looks down in a way a mother watches over her child. Hence, he refers the moon to as she. She shines on thieves on the garden wall. This line indicates that the moonlight is so impartial that it even shines on thieves. The moonlight falls on different places and on those who live among it, such as the birds on the trees, on streets and fields and harbour quays, and birdies asleep in the forks of the trees. The squalling cat and the squeaking mouse, the howling dog by the door of the house, the bat that lies in bed at noon, all love to be out by the light of the moon. The squalling cat, the squeaking mouse, and the howling dog are cited as examples of the animal sounds which can be heard in otherwise a silent night. The animals mentioned in this stanza, the squalling cat, the howling dog, and the squeaking mouse. Are making noise as though they are happy to be outside in the moonlight. The bat that rests during the day is active as though it is rejoicing to be out by the light of the moon. But all of the things that belong to the day cuddle to sleep to be out of her way, and flowers and children close their eyes till up in the morning the sun shall rise. In the previous stanza, the poet has mentioned the creatures that love to be out in the moonlight. Whereas in this stanza, the poet considers those creatures that are active during the day and are resting during the night, such as children and flowers. They seem to be waiting for the morning to be active again. This is a charming poem which can be recited and sung as well, as there is a good usage of rhyming words. Try to sing along with me. The moon has a face like the clock in the hall. She shines on thieves on the garden wall, on streets and fields and harbor quays, and birdies asleep in the forks of the trees. The squalling cat and the squeaking mouse, the howling dog by the door of the house, the bat that lies in bed at noon, all love to be out by the light of the moon. But all of the things that belong to the day cuddle to sleep to be out of her way, and flowers and children close their eyes till up in the morning the sun shall rise.